Hello, health enthusiasts, and welcome to Rev Up Health, your go-to podcast for all things wellness. I'm Dr. Mark Hechler.
And I'm Tandi Hechler. Together, we're here to fuel your health journey with the best of functional medicine and holistic well-being.
Each episode will dive deep into topics that matter to your health, bringing you the latest insights, research, and inspiring stories.
So whether you're on a quest for vibrant health or just looking for daily health tips, we've got you covered.
So let's embark on this journey together and transform the way you live.
Hello, and welcome to today's podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about community, and that is something that we're really trying to achieve with Revelation Health and Wellbeing, with Rev Up Health, and the social media that we're doing. We're really looking to kind of create this community where people can come together.
Encourage folks, to come together, but also to, associations with more like-minded people. So, as you'll find out in our discussions, like-minded people will tend to navigate together, but also tend to benefit off of each other by having friendships and relationships.
Yeah. So I think the first thing to know is that community is really important. It's great to be at a place in your life where you're really comfortable with yourself and you like your time that you spend on your own. But community can really provide so much additional depth and benefit.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. So obviously social relationships, they've done a lot of studies on what role social relationships and community involvement and interactions like that have upon health and improvement of health and extending health, just all in general. So, obviously there's studies that show that, multiple studies on hundreds of thousands of participants that showed stronger social relationships had a 50% increase in survival rates compared to those with weaker social interactions. So, that basically they mimic that to rivaling the cessation of smoking. So when we stop smoking, then that increases your risk of survival. So does having social interactions and relationships with folks too. So.
Yeah. And the blue zone studies that have been done in blue zones, they've noted that there is this difference in community that those areas have.
Blue zone folks are essentially those individuals that are with an advanced age. So community is where there's an older population of 100 or so, 100 years older in that area. So that community has a higher percentage of folks that are lived to 100. And there's a lot of reasons for that, obviously, too, which we go through with podcasts throughout the times that we have these podcasts. But, that one of the biggest thing is that social connection that they have. They have a huge social connection. And, there's, even with mental health and mental disease, there's a 4 times likelihood of having depression if you don't have the social interactions that you need, especially in the elderly population. That's a big deal. But, individuals that engage in these social groups and activities, they're just more likely to participate in even health promoting activities, so that's certainly something where, it's important to get involved, getting involved is also healthy.
Yeah. A Harvard study found that a strong social tie could promote brain health as we age too. So the lack of social bonds is associated with decreased levels of stress and inflammation.
Increasing levels of stress. I know what you meant. So you can look at it different ways, but it increases your stress and inflammation if you're not involved, if you're not socially involved.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So it's kind of hard to understand that sometimes. But these interactions are very important from that standpoint. Obviously, if you're able to use your brain, use your mind, and use those thought processes, well, you keep the nerves working better. You keep things sharper. So developing new skills, new activities, things that require thought and movement. There's studies that show not just increasing thought by doing crossword puzzles, but doing activities that train your brain and move your body at the same time exponentially increase that level of health. So, and really helps to maintain the brain.
Yeah. I think another thing that's interesting is oftentimes we have a hard time keeping promises to ourselves and keeping ourselves accountable. But when we are, make a promise to a friend or someone else, we're more likely to, go do that thing that we said we were going to do, that if it was just ourselves, we might say, oh, I'm just not going to do that today.
Keeps you accountable.
Yeah. So something that has been coming a lot too is how community changes as you age. So, it is a really fascinating thing how your community changes as you grow and age.
Right.
I mean,
because, younger community, you're not going to go run around with your friends, your buddies. If you're 70 or 80 years old, and maybe you do, but don't run around with buddies at the bar, or, go to, events like that. But, maybe it's more of a card games, or maybe it's a dancing events, pickleball. Heavens knows pickleball is a big thing right now. So those types of things are community based, and there's social interactions.
Yeah. So I do think it's, as looking back at my communities that I have had, when you're in school, you've got your school friends, and then as you start working, you've got friends at work. That's kind of where you're meeting people. And then, you get married and you've got friends that you bring together in that relationship. And then you bring kids into the picture, and then your kids' friends' parents are part of, and, depending on what community you live in,
But even in work environment, obviously just, hitting that work environment, if you're in a line of work where you're by yourself, for instance, maybe you're at home doing internet or, remote work, you don't have that social interaction necessarily. And, so a line of work can make a big difference in your interaction and your health.
That is true. And I think especially since COVID, that's something that is even more present than it probably was prior to COVID, because there's a lot more remote and working from home and those types of things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And kind of growing in this community, I think recently, we've become empty nesters. And so that's a whole nother, you don't have kids at home to create certain things.
Just going to the events. Yeah. I mean, they were so involved in sports or, school related activities. And, that's where you would see, adults, for instance, of the other children. So, you lose that social interaction. But yeah, as they age, it changes your interactions.
Yeah. And it does, it gets to be, for some people, I would say for myself, I'll speak for myself here, it is harder to make friends as you get older, just because there's not as much opportunity to meet new people. I know that, I've had different workout places that I've gone that I've been able to make friends and things like that. I think,
because that's something you like. You like to work out in a group, or have a community of involvement where you work. But I'm kind of at the other end of that. I actually like to kind of work out alone or run alone. I'm not much of a social butterfly when it comes to exercise. So.
Well, but would you be if there was someone?
Potentially, yes. But also that the benefits of that is that, like we talked about, is keeping you honest. You have a commitment, and it keeps you going. It keeps you on track with your health goal, if you will.
Sure. I would agree with that. But I think you might enjoy working out. In fact, I know you would. You would enjoy working out with other people, as you may still do some things on your own, but so
yeah, I don't mind.
Anybody who's into long distance running at a pretty quick pace, this is your guy right here.
No. It's called long distance running and struggling as you go. It's hard to speak sometimes and have social conversations when I'm trying to get up the hill in the 90-degree heat.
Right. So another piece of community, as we're talking about, is, you know, in relationships, obviously, we have worked together. I mean, we are working together less now than we ever have.
True.
Probably. I mean, except for at the very beginning. But essentially, obviously, we like hanging out together because we spend a lot of time together.
Right. Well, we've got this business together. We better like hanging out.
That's right. But it is interesting, too, to think about. We do enjoy hanging out with other couples that like to do the same things that we like to do.
Right. And,
you know, focusing on, and what, I don't know the word I'm talking about, but, you know, working on those relationships. It's, you know, important to do, to remind yourself to get out there and, you know, even past where we are, retirement, and we have, you know, friends who have retired and family members who have retired, and what a transition. I think we have a friend who recently retired, and somebody was telling them, "Oh, congratulations, you've retired, and, you know, are you excited?" And she was kind of like, "Well, it's kind of like somebody died." So it is. It's a big transition, and you're going from a place where you're seeing these people at work, and then you're not anymore. So you really have to be mindful about creating that space and interaction.
And it's really not easy to find other couples or individuals that have gotten to that stage in their life where they have retired, or they don't have children anymore, or they don't have pets. And so there's a lot of
do have pets.
Parts. Yeah, there's a lot of parts to the puzzle that create a difficulty to interact with those individuals from a social environment too. So, but, you know, there again, you know, you can always have areas of interest that, you know, you can come up with, so that do raise conversation, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think even for you learning to fly, that opened up a whole new world of different friends for you to meet and
who knows, as I get better at playing that banjo, I might just get me a gig going, get me a band gig. We'll be traveling, I'm sure.
Oh boy,
then, you know,
there we go. And I think it's also important to remember too that even relationships with your family, as you age, as you all age, your children are aging too, and they're becoming their own people, and they're getting their own interests and liking their own things. I think it's so important to be mindful about how you keep that connection, because it's going to be more work than it was when your kids were just living at home and they were kind of playing by your rules and doing your things, or you're, you know, doing the sports and doing that thing. I have found this to be very true as my kids have grown and looking for things that we both enjoy doing. Because, you know, I like to walk and go outside and do those types of things. And I have a daughter that isn't the funnest thing for her. So I have to look for things that we can both enjoy doing together, which
thank goodness we like being outside and being active. So it makes it a little bit easier for us to motivate the other one to get to moving, or to go do this. And so, but you're right. And then there's the pets, the role of pets. You know, it's a whole nother scenario there. But, you know, having, you know, whether it's dogs or cats, I'm kind of more the dog kind of person, but they tend to motivate you also from a responsibility standpoint, but also you want them to be able to be healthy and be active, and they like to be outside and run and go play. And so then you start meeting others. So if you meet other individuals, that's true. Yes.
We did have a point when we had one dog that did not like walks and one dog that loves walks.
Yeah, so that makes it a little difficult.
It does make it hard.
Cuts the walk short for a lot of.
So it's not just a people problem.
Yeah, true. And then you know, it's not just about four-legged animals either. We got chickens too, so they created a little more of a responsibility standpoint. So more ways than one.
Yes, that is very true. Very true. Having pets too is, I think you kind of already mentioned this, but gets you out to the dog park if you have a dog that's...
And there's other folks that, you know, they're active and they like to be outside with their pets too. So you kind of get to meet people that way also.
Yeah.
But yeah, and obviously, social interactions that really makes a big difference on, your physical health and your mental health. And I think those are two things that are real important and that somewhat get overlooked. It's not just having a relationship or a friend that you can text or call, it's about getting out and seeing them or being more active. And then that just improves your overall quality.
Right. And accountability. I think that is such a big piece. We kind of talked about that in another podcast about your healthcare and just, being accountable for your own health. Well, this is another layer of that where you can help each other be accountable for those things that are going to help you along the way of, being more healthy and getting those healthy habits ingrained.
But yeah, just keeping that activity going, keeping that social interaction, the conversation is going to keep your mind sharp, keep you physically active, and very importantly, reduce your likelihood of depression, because when we get older, you get isolated, and isolation is such that can really create a lot of mental health problems for folks.
Yeah.
Like COVID did.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the other piece of this is so aligned with all of the other areas of health, and the fact that the more proactive you are, the earlier you are at being proactive, the easier it is, right? So kind of being intentional about creating friendships and...
Right. That makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always easy to get out there and put that foot forward to want to try to do that. And a lot of folks feel uncomfortable, but, get out of your comfort zone. It might just change things for you.
Yeah. And I think that is, you find that in a lot of different areas where the idea, this is for me, absolutely the truth. The idea of doing something, it may feel like, oh, do I really want to do this? And then once I do it, I'm like, totally
happy you're doing it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
So,
but yeah, whether it's a race, a physical event, or whether it's just simply a volunteer event, go down to the food pantry or go pass things out, or it's certainly something. Obviously, we met medical missions events, so we met on the other side of the earth. And so, in those situations, you wouldn't have the opportunities that you have if you didn't go to volunteer for those types of charitable events.
Yes, that is very true. So there's lots of ideas, tips, and tricks of things that you can do locally in your community. And, I think even worldwide,
right.
Kind of creating connection and, meeting people and then going to visit and travel. And then that's a whole new thing.
Right. Yeah. And it's fun to see them at, similar events, that you continue to go back to or participate in. You get to catch up.
Yeah. It's really fun. So ultimately, as we're going through all of these different things, and community is really big for your social health. And social health is a big part of your overall health. So that's kind of where we got here.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's certainly something that socializing is one thing. It may not come easy for people, but once it's initiated, you work at it a little bit, it becomes very easy, very natural, and it's also very healthy.
Yeah. So we're putting it out there. We want to meet people who are interested in the things we're interested in. So if that's you, reach out. We'd love to connect, and, we'd love to offer resources too. If, maybe we're not your cup of tea, and that's okay. But, maybe there's a way to make some connections with some people who are your cup of tea.
Absolutely. Exactly. Very good. So we hope you learned something. We hope that you'll get involved. We hope that you'll think about, your own social life. And, maybe the social life of your spouse or your significant other. Or your kids or your family. But think about that and keep that interaction going forward. Keep positive. I think you're going to find out that in the long run, it's going to benefit you from many different ways. And we know that it's going to create a more healthier life for you.
Absolutely.
So have a healthy day. We'll look forward to talking with anybody, and then we'll see you at the next podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Rev Up Health. We hope you're leaving with some valuable insights to supercharge your health journey.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to Rev Up Health wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a rating and review.
Have a topic you want us to explore? Reach out to us on social media channels. We love hearing from our wellness community.
Until next time, keep thriving, and remember, your journey to health is a journey to a better you.
Stay well, and we'll connect with you again soon. This is Tandi.
And this is Dr. Mark, signing off from Rev Up Health. Take care.
The information provided in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. The content is designed to support, not replace, the relationship that exists between a patient and their healthcare provider. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your healthcare regimen, including diet, exercise, or treatment plans. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Revelation Health and Wellbeing.